Dear students, today we are going to see about the poem Keeping Quiet. It was written by Pablo Neruda. About the author, Pablo Neruda was a famous Chilean poet, diplomat and politician. He received Nobel Prize for Literature in 1971. He wrote in green ink, which was his personal symbol for desire and hope. His writings are very simple, and this poem Keeping Quiet was originally written in Spanish. In this poem, the poet conveys soul searching is needed for us to be at peace with ourselves and others. Let us see the summary of this poem stanza wise. In this poem, Keeping Quiet, Neruda discussed the need of maintaining peace and silence. Okay. First stanza. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. So in this first stanza, poets ask everyone to count up to 12 in their mind. The number 12 represents here our 12 hours of the day or months of the year. He wants all of us to be calm and still. People across the nations have to unite together so they shall not speak their own languages. Rather, they all shall keep quiet and speak the language of silence. This will bring unity among all the humans on the face of the earth. For at least one moment, no one shall move his arms either to signal or to fight. The word arms means the weapons which are used by different countries to rise a war against each other. So basically, the poet is demanding peace from all of us. So in this stanza, the poet uses the poetic device of alliteration in the first line. The repetition of consonant sound in the first line, we will. And he used anaphora, 2 consecutive lines starting with the word let's. Now second stanza, it would be an exotic moment without rest, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fisherman in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Poet says that it would be a rare situation when there will be no engines working. Here he wants to state that if everything comes to stand still, inactive, it will be a very different moment. If all the engines like the vehicles and machines stop, then there will be a sudden strange situation as the world will experience a sudden calmness. People will not be in a rush to achieve material things one after another. Further, the poet says that fishermen will also stop and not harm whales in the sea. This means that the poet is urging everyone not to harm the animals. Here, he gives the example of whales which are being hunted for the purpose of food or trade. The poet also wants people to calm down so that they can stop and see what they have achieved or lost. For this, he gives an example of the man who gathers salt, whose hands are hurt. Here, he wants to everyone to stop for a while in order to see and feel their achievements and how much they have lost for the sake of attaining such materialistic things. So in this second stanza also, the poet used alliteration on the line we would and sudden strangeness, hurt hands. So the repetition of consonant sounds. Third stanza, those who prepare green wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade, doing nothing, What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. So in the third stanza, the poet asks everyone to stop those activities which are damaging the environment. Today, all human beings are making money by damaging the environment with their activities, such as mining, deforestation, letting the chemical waste into rivers, etc. The poet asks us not to do so. He also requests the people not to involve in wars, as there is no benefit of achieving such a victory which in no one is left alive. He says so because wars and environmental damage will lead no life on earth. Rather, he wants people to adopt new approach towards life and mankind. He says that you should treat your enemy like brothers and promote peace and harmony in the world. Stanza 4. If we are not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this harness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Now the poet wants to clarify to his readers that when he asks them to stop from saying or doing anything, he doesn't want anyone to become a non-active person. Non-active is a person who remains idle and doesn't do anything. Here, he simply means that we should stop and see the consequence of our deeds. The poet doesn't want to see the people being killed due to their greed for money and expansion of territories. Further, he says that people are continuously working to achieve their tasks without even thinking about their results. They are in fear of death and therefore want to achieve most of the things before their death. And the poet says, everyone here is living a life in which he wants to achieve various things one after another. But now the poet says it is a time to stop and see what has been achieved and should be enjoyed. This will help us skip the sadness which has become so prominent in our lives. So in this stanza 4, also the poet used alliteration, we were and so single. There are repetition of consonant sounds in these lines. Now fifth stanza, perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So now the poet suggests that the human beings, we should learn a lesson from the earth. During the winters everything freezes and becomes lifeless, but when season changes and it is the onset of spring season, everything present in the nature, such as the trees, birds, rivers, etc. gets life. That means gets life. So here the poet, by giving the example of nature, wants to say that all human beings should stop and try to judge their deeds. They can try and make their life better with calmness and peace. Finally, he ends up by saying that now he will count up to 12 so that we all may become quiet. Here, quiet means to calm down ourselves. That means inactive, and move towards the path of peace and harmony. After saying this, he says, I will go. He says so as he has conveyed his message to the people and wants them to be left alone to think about it and work in the direction of peace. So these are the messages conveyed, the poet conveyed through his poem Keeping Quiet. Dear students, I hope you all listen this video and I hope you all understand this poem. Thank you.